When you're applying for jobs with over 100 other applicants, what can you do to stand out and get the job? What an excellent question. And that's why today we are going to go through this step-by-step guide on how you can get hired every single time. There's literally so much information in this video that I had to go ahead and make a PowerPoint because my brain could not contain it all. And just before we get into the nitty-gritty, I just want to let you know that I've been through this process. I'm a self-taught dev. I had to get a job in tech and I successfully did it. And since then, I've even been involved in the recruitment process for developers. I've seen what it takes. And in this video, I'm going to share everything that you need to do to stand out and be the candidate that I would interview every single time. I promise you it works. I was testing out the strategies that I was going to present with you. And here I applied for a FANG job just for memes. And literally 8 hours later, I had a response asking for an interview. So it's going to work. And the outline of the video is basically, there's a couple of questions that I feel need to be answered because I get them a lot. We're also going to go through some steps that you need to follow to stand out every single time and be the perfect candidate. And then at the end of the video, this is the cherry on the cake. I'm going to give you a secret method that you can use to get a job that no one tells you about. I used it, got me a job offer, and it wasn't even being advertised. So it's going to be an absolute weapon of a video. If you enjoy it, smash the like and subscribe buttons. Appreciate that support. And with that all said, let's get started. There's heaps to get through. So first on the list is the popular question, how do I know when I'm ready to start applying? And it's a good question. And to really get to the answer, we have to ask ourselves, how do you impress recruiters in an interview? What is it that a recruiter is looking for to give you the job? I'm going to give you 3 seconds to guess. It's one word, a one-word answer. 3, 2, 1, and the answer is credibility. For a company to hire you and take you on board, you need to show that you're credible and that you can do what they will ask of you. And the main way that you can show this in the interview is by having personal experiences, personal anecdotes that you can speak to that highlight or cover the points that they are talking about in the job posting. So in short, you can just ask yourself, can you hold a conversation and contribute information about topics they've advertised in the job listing? If the answer is yes, then you likely have the credibility that's necessary to go and apply for those jobs and hopefully get started as a software developer, or it could be any other industry that you're interested in. Another good indication is that if you have projects that match the tech that they're talking about, then it's likely you're also ready to start applying and you can get your hands dirty. Now with that out of the way, we can finally dive into the juicy content. How can you be the candidate that stands out time and time again? And what steps do you need to follow to break the cycle of rejection and start getting these interviews? And once again, you probably won't believe me when I say it, the answer is actually pretty simple. If we just do a breakdown, this is the experience I had recruiting for these roles. Let's say you post a role and there's 200 applicants. This can be very intimidating for people and it can make you feel very small and unlikely to get chosen. And one thing I just want to tell you to reassure you is that a lot of these applicants have really pointless applications. You know, they really don't mean anything. They're totally unrelated. They have no relevant experience. So you can immediately eliminate maybe 50% of them. However, that doesn't necessarily guarantee you an interview. If we have a pool of 200 applications, 10 to 20 of them have applications that have no, and I'm going to coin the term, mistakes in this content. So they have applications that are successful, that appeal to the recruiter. And at the end of the day, these are the applications that get interviews. Now, I'm not saying they're exceptional. They haven't done anything to stand out. All they've done is they've submitted applications that have avoided all the common pitfalls that gives me the confidence that I need to offer them an interview and proceed with the recruitment process with them. So basically, if you want to stand out, so to speak, all you have to do, there's nothing special, nothing fancy. You just have to submit a job application that doesn't fall into any of the common traps. So what we're going to do now is talk about the mistakes that you're probably making that are causing your resumes to get rejected because you're one of the candidates that is making these errors. There's essentially 3 parts to this, and the successful candidates, the 10 to 20 of the 200, basically nail every single criteria across the 3 parts. It's not that challenging, but there are a lot of areas that you can go wrong, so you just want to make sure that you don't fall short on any of these fronts. Now, number 1 on our list is the resume. This is the first place that people fall over, and there are numerous mistakes that you can make with a resume. First up, you can have a poor template. Now, the resume template is very misunderstood. A lot of people go and add a lot of design, a lot of flair. They try have a different template that looks all fancy schmancy, But all of that is actually just a red herring for a simple, clean resume, just like this one I have here. Basically, we just have the work experience. It's super tidy. There's no fancy schmancy business going on. It just looks clean. It's easy to read through. It's ATS optimized, which means that machines absolutely love it. You won't get rejected on the screening process, and there's just no complexity to it. I know where to look for the information. It's predictable, and that's what recruiters like. You don't get a lot of attention time for a recruiter to pass through your resume. So if you make it all colorful and fanciful, it's going to be hard to find the information they need to affirm them that you're a candidate they want to proceed with. If you want to fill out this job resume, I'd recommend checking out hire.sh. You can fill it out for free and print that off and submit that bad boy. So that's a little bit about the template, but that's not the only mistake that people make with the resume. The second one, and this one is absolutely huge, language and grammar. Now this one is especially important for the ATS screening system, which is where a lot of people just get that auto rejection email, and it's basically because the language and grammar in your resume is insufficient. You've made some grammatical errors and they just pick up on that, and that's an immediate red flag for them. And once again, there's going to be 10 to 20 applicants that don't have any of these grammatical errors. It's absolutely critical that your resume reads well and is very professional, and there's one thing that I'm going to mention very shortly that can help you achieve this. But nowadays we have access to ChatGPT, likewise in hire.sh. If you fill in your resume there, it can help you write grammatically correct resumes that use professional technical language. Now this brings me to the next thing that people commonly muddle up, and that's the order and structure of their resumes. I've seen people who submit a resume where they think that the work experience is the most important thing to submit, where their work experience has no relevance to the role that they're applying for. That makes absolutely no sense. I would rather hire someone who's completely self-taught and only lists projects in their resume and neglects all of their previous work experience because it's more relevant to the role. Even though it seems counterintuitive, that's going to be a disadvantage for you. So structuring your resume so that your most appealing points are first and foremost is going to be to your advantage. Even if you feel attachment to something that's not relevant, it just has to go to the bottom of the resume because it's not important. Once again, the structure that I like to follow is often work experience, but if you don't have anything relevant, then you can just fill it out with projects or anything else that is relevant. Perhaps that's even education, and then skills at the bottom. That's the standard format that I follow. Now, the last one for the resume, and this is absolutely huge, this has to be done correctly, is how you create descriptions for the items in your projects, your education, your work experience. And basically it's a sentence structure that you have to follow, where the first thing you do is you have a description of what you've done. Here, if we look at this sentence, it describes the action. Established a cutting-edge laboratory dedicated to advancing Pokemon research. And then the second thing you do in your sentence structure is describe the effect. Attracting top scientists and trainers around the world. And this is the only way that you should be writing out bullet points in your resume. The description and then the effect. The description should have the technology that you've used, anything relevant, and the effect is the outcome or the impact that it's had for the company. A lot of people's sentences are just jargon. They have too much randomness. There's no meaning. I don't understand what the outcome of any of this information is, and I'm just going to toss that resume aside for the ones that don't make this mistake and they have clean sentence structure. This is literally one line. You don't need a lot of lines, but the one line is structured perfectly. I immediately understand what they did, what they were responsible for, and the impact that it had for the company. So that's absolutely huge, and those are the 4 downfalls that people make with their resume and the 4 things that you need to do correctly every single time. Now, next up on the list is the cover letter, and there's just one thing that everybody does wrong with the cover letter. It's generic. Now, I get it. A lot of people have 1,000 applications that they need to put out. I even had a template where all I would do is if I had a new application, I would just change the company names, and that doesn't work. It's generic. It doesn't speak to the soul of the recruiter, and it will not catch their attention and help you stand out. Now, this is where you once again need to be clever with your applications. Everyone needs to be specific to the job posting. You need to say the impact that you can have for their company and how based on the experience that you have. It's absolutely critical. You're so much better to put in one job application that has a job-specific cover letter written personally for that company that speaks to their soul then submitting 10 applications and all of them are just the same template, different names. I even made mistakes where I would get confused and submit the wrong one, and that's just immediately going to kill the interview. Now, this was once upon a time an extremely time-consuming process because equally, it is important to prioritize the volume of applications. So that makes it extremely challenging because you're having to submit very specific, very personalized cover letters every single time and somehow trying to pump out lots of job applications. Now, if you don't want that to take 100 million years, once again, I'd absolutely recommend just coming over to hire.sh. If you come over to the dashboard and fill out your resume, once you've got that template, you can click on the Create New button and make a job application. Then what you can do is you can paste in the job application and have AI generate you a cover letter that maps your experiences, your technical abilities, your skill set to the job posting. This is literally the process I used to get this interview that I was talking about at the start of the video. I made the cover letter and the resume in hire.sh. If you want, you could come in here and edit it a little bit just to maybe make it more personalized, but you don't even have to do that. I didn't do that. I just submitted it immediately. You can save it and click on the PDF viewer, download it, and just submit that PDF. It's so straightforward and it works. High quality professional applications every single time. There's no reason not to do it. So be sure to check that out, hire.sh, and you will never struggle with cover letters ever again. Now, the third thing on the list, and this is huge, is that you are not showing any initiative in your applications. And basically what this looks like is whenever you submit an application, you need to find out who is hiring for that role. And then you need to absolutely slide into the LinkedIn DMs asking for a call with them just to discuss the job posting, hear a little bit more about it, and even introduce yourself. This process is critical because on the chances that they say yes, it won't happen every single time, but when it does, you get a free interview. Often this means that you'll also get the first free interview, even though it's not a technical interview. And if you can introduce yourself and once again prove that you're the person for the job, establish credibility, and also demonstrate your soft skills such as communication, they might even disregard every other applicant and give you the job just like that. You absolutely have to go the extra mile. Most job postings nowadays will have the person who has created the job posting on the job listing itself, so you can just slide directly into their DMs. And a lot of you might say, James, do I need LinkedIn Premium for this? How do I send them a big message? You don't need anything. You can have a free LinkedIn account. All you need to do is send them a connection request and add a note. It has a limited character space, but if you come over to smalljames.com and into the blog, everything you need to land your developer job, this works in any industry, and come down to networking. Here we have a message template that you can literally copy and paste in there. Just says, hi, I hope this message finds you well. I just noticed your job posting for, and as a insert your relevant experience, I feel I'd be a great fit for the role. I'd love to connect and chat about the opportunity. Brilliant message. If you're not doing this, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You absolutely have to give it a shot. Also, the one other thing that's worth adding here is that it makes a big difference if you're one of the first people to apply for a job, which you can easily do if you take advantage of the notification settings that are available in LinkedIn and most hiring platforms. And it's just another reason to sign up with hire.sh because you can create professional job applications in seconds, so you can literally be the first to apply. And that's pretty much it. It's not that complicated to have a good job posting. You just need a nice resume with good grammar, good phrasing, a cover letter that is non-generic and job specific. And I'm really going to emphasize these 2 points. The phrasing in your resume has to be description of the task and effect, no mumbo jumbo, no rambling on. It's just very concise and to the point. And then once you've done all that, you've submitted your application, send the follow-up message on LinkedIn. Now that's how you create the perfect job application, by essentially making 0 mistakes. You don't fall into any of these common pitfalls. And that's how you can also be the top 1% that gets the first level of interview and gets the response. Now, second question I commonly get is, what if I don't have any professional experience or experience relevant to the role? And I kind of answered this before, very common question I get asked. Essentially, what you have to do is ask yourself, what is the point of professional experience? And once again, the answer is credibility. This is the core thing that you have to understand when you're applying for a job. It's like building a business. You have to understand your target user. The target user is the recruiter. What is it that they want? They want credibility and they want to trust that you can do the job. And so what you have to do, if you don't have any professional experience, Create experience that is relevant to the role with projects. If you want some inspiration as to what projects I recommend you get started with, come over to smalljames.com, go over to the roadmap, and there's loads of information in there about projects that will land you jobs. Now, with that question answered, it's time for the secret technique that you can use to get a job even when there are no job postings listed. How can you get a job even when there aren't any advertised? Now, this is something that worked for me, it will work for you, and a lot of people don't take advantage of this system. Even if it doesn't get you a job, it's still going to be hugely beneficial in so many other ways. So if you're looking for jobs, this has to be done on a day-to-day basis. And the secret word, the secret technique is informational interviews. Now, if you go back to the How to Get a Job blog, there is a message template that you can use to request informational interviews. And essentially how the process works is you find people who have jobs that you want at companies that you want to work for. You slide into the LinkedIn DMs the exact same way and you very kindly ask for an informational interview. Now, that's not the end of the process by any stretch of the imagination, but when you approach this individual or these individuals, you need to have in your head that it is. It should be a harmless, innocent, informational interview where you want to hear more about their job, understand what they're doing, the technology they use, and what they would look for in a candidate that they would like to bring on board. Now, I'm not saying you should pull the wool over their eyes, but what you want to do at the same time is also take this opportunity as if it is an interview for you. It's a formal interview. You need to demonstrate your good soft skills. You should demonstrate that you know what they need you to know or what they hypothetically think that you should know. And the reason you have to do this is because a lot of companies have internal referral bonuses. For example, a company might say to its employees, if you can recommend someone and they come on board and they're a successful candidate, they stick around for 6 months and we're happy with them, we'll give you $2,000, $5,000, $10,000. Most companies have this process. It's very underutilized. It doesn't often get taken advantage of, but you need to take advantage of it. The informational interviews, you should never directly ask to get an internal referral from these individuals. You need to just approach it, that's what I'm saying, very innocently, very harmless, just as if they have your dream job and you want to learn more about it. But 5 times out of 10, by the time you get to the end of the interview, they will quite often offer you the internal referral, especially if you can demonstrate that you're someone that they would want to work with. They benefit, you benefit. It's just a great system. The informational interviews is the best way to build up your network without having any in the first place. And if you do get an internal referral, there's no job posted, you could still have a job. It's absolutely, it wins for everybody. So that's the secret technique. If you're not taking advantage of it, I would absolutely recommend you do. And that is also the end of the presentation. That's everything that you need to know to be the candidate that stands out and gets the interviews. If you haven't already, go sign up for hire.sh. Check out the blog on the Small James website because everything is covered in there as well. If you've enjoyed the video, smash the like and subscribe buttons, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace. Learning to code? If so, be sure to check out the Learn to Code roadmap or dive straight in with these videos. That's a good one.